Hello, my name is Henry Fett, and I'm here today to talk about why courage is the most essential trait for one to possess. The questions I will be answering in my presentation is, first, I'm going to be defining courage in the way that I'm going to be using it in my solutions. Second, I'm going to be explaining why courage is so essential. And third, I'm going to be giving solutions as to how we can get more people to show courage. So, McKinley states that the definition of courage has been widely debated, though most agree it involves an element of persistence despite fear. The primary component that makes an action courageous is it having a fear of someone is able to overcome by committing that action. However, Sternberg goes on to write that being a daredevil is not tantamonious to being courageous. Courageous acts are ones that make the world a better place, that create positive and meaningful change. They are not merely risky behaviors. Thus, just because an action has inherent risk to it does not make it courageous. A courageous action would be one that not only improves, but also helps other people, mainly in immoral situations. Courage is a widely diverse trait. On an individual level, Simone Biles shows courage through being able to recognize and express her internal struggles with others in order to improve herself, even if she makes herself vulnerable by doing so. On a team level, nurses in the operating room must have courage as an essential part to their kit in order to stop any malpractice that may injure patients in an operating room. On an industrial level, industries such as those who help veterans are putting others before their own profits, therefore acting courageously. The following painting is named Confrontation on the Bridge and was created by artist Jacob Lawrence. The painting is in relation to Bloody Sunday, an event that took place in Alabama in 1965 during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. This is a historical example of moral courage, as these people, even though there was the perceived fear of possibly being hurt or even killed by police brutality, they continued to fight for what they thought was best for their community, which was in this case civil rights. There are obviously a lot of benefits that come from courage, as I think we can all agree that when we do something courageous, it feels good. And this is interesting, as courage is something that not only benefits the expressor of it when it's expressed, but also the receiver of it as the immoral action is being stopped and that person is no longer suffering from it. For example, in the case of the previously mentioned operating room nurses, Annie Martin and others found that nurses who are able to confront people about incompetence, poor teamwork, and disrespect seem to observe better patient outcomes and to be more satisfied with their work. When courage was expressed in operating rooms, the nurses felt better because they were able to stop an immoral action from occurring, and the patients benefit because they're no longer suffering from that immoral action. Therefore, it's a win-win. There are also negatives that come with lack of courage, and the primary of which is that when courage is not shown, it allows more corruption and immoral actions to be gotten away with without repercussions. What's interesting to consider here is although both the expressor and receiver benefit when courage is shown, when it's not shown, only the receiver is receiving the negatives of it, as the expressor is not even getting involved. This brings forward an internal struggle. Although it would feel good to commit a courageous action, nothing would happen to me if I didn't do anything. So am I willing to be associated with that risk of possibly, in such situations like losing a job, in order to express courage and help that person in need? So why do so few people express courage? In a study conducted by Kemper and others, participants were first asked if they would intervene in a morally wrong situation, such as a robbery. Then they were put in a stage set up by the study where they were able to intervene with this robbery. The results showed that participants were nearly 3 times more likely to say they would intervene and stop a theft if they imagined witnessing it, as compared to actually witnessing a theft occur right in front of them. As I stated previously, we all want to act courageously. It feels good to act courageously as you know that you're helping others and you feel better because of that. However, when put on the spot, many of us are too afraid to actually act, and with the possibility of receiving repercussions of the risk associated with it. I have possible solutions to help improve more people expressing courage throughout society. The first solution is improvement. There are already classes such as anti-bullying classes in place that encourage people to directly confront others in immoral situations and stop that immoral behavior from occurring. But my solution of improvement aims to improve these classes in order so that they not only more so target courage as a whole, but also will resonate on people on a deeper level, so it'll last with them in the long term. The second solution is expansion, and I would primarily be doing this through schools, where we would be getting special courage classes in schools so that more people would be exposed to them, and it would be people at a young age being exposed to them. The implications of both of these solutions: for improvement, by improving classes, obviously it'll connect with them on a deeper level, thus it'll last over a longer period of time rather than just in the first weeks or months after seeing the class. And if these people go on to be parents, they could then pass on these teachings to their children, which are most impressionable by their parents, leading to a whole another generation of people acting courageously. Implications for the expansion solution: by expanding, obviously more people are being exposed to these classes and will act courageously, but also by targeting the young in schools, this leaves more time for development. So after seeing one of these classes, if they're put on the spot in one of these situations, they're able to act accordingly, rather than if they're already adult and have experienced these situations and they weren't able to do so in the first place. There are limitations, however, to each of these solutions. As for the improvements, a major limitation is we don't yet know what exactly would make these classes effective. And what's even worse, which require more research, and what's even worse is that it may vary depending on factors such as sex, culture, or other independent variables of an individual's personal life, which means we may even need different kinds of classes because there may not be a one-size-fits-all situation. And finally, if we wanted to improve these classes, it would require more investment into specialized teachers to teach these classes in order to really resonate with people on a deeper level and stick with them. For expansion, the first and largest hurdle to get over would be to getting administrators to actually allow this to be implemented into schools, as of course, it takes time out of a school day and money out of a school's budget to run these classes, even if it's only a one-time thing. And the next problem to address would be what age group to target in schools. As if we target an age group too young, it may not be effective and it may not stick with them. But again, the longer that we wait, the less time there is for development of that courage over that individual's life. However, courage is still a skill that can be applied to a multitude of situations to prevent immoral actions from taking place. So it's essential to expose as many individuals to these courage classes as we possibly can to limit the spread of corruption and malpractice occurring in society. My sources.
Okay, so we have some questions for you. First off, how did you handle the differing perspectives in order to reach a conclusion?
So for me, the differing perspectives, it wasn't more really anyone arguing against courage being a good thing, because most people really do agree that courage is a good thing, but it was more so a lot of people were defining courage in a lot of different ways. For example, when I was even looking at images to use in my presentation, a lot of the images were implying that courage is just like overcoming a risky behavior. But as I stated, the way that I'm using it in this presentation is more so going into how it's stopping immoral actions and more on a societal level rather than doing something like skydiving. That's not a courageous behavior the way I defined it.
Okay. Explain the level of certainty you have about your conclusion, solution, or recommendation.
So the level of certain. So do you want me to explain it for like each individual solution that I have?
Go with whatever you think is the best answer for that.
Okay. So my expansion solution I felt was the strongest because with the improvement solution, that doesn't involve targeting schools, and it more so would involve just improving classes, and at that point people would have to go to the classes on their own accord, so they need to have a good reason to go to them. But by putting them in schools, it forcibly requires students to go to these classes where they'll receive something from it. So I think it'll reach more people that way, and it'll impact society more that way by targeting students and forcing them to go to the classes.
Okay. Thank you very much.